They aren't ignored as much as they aren't really mentioned. There is a difference. The Holocaust was the final solution to the Jewish question, the planned systematic genocide of an entire ethnic group. Other groups killed included gays, gypsies, Poles, Slavs, Jehovah's Witnesses, political dissidents, etc. The reason the Jews stick out is because of how systematic their annihilation was. There was no one-see conference about the other groups. No Kristallnacht. The treatment of the Jews was purely evil, and we remember it most. We have selective memories. Over 20 million non-military people died in Europe from 1925 to 1950. Most of them didn't die in the Holocaust. We are quick to forget the millions who died in the Soviet Union as a result of planned starvation. In Soviet Ukraine, Stalin's crazy grain requisitions led people to eat each other, in many cases their own children. In one incident, at an orphanage, the supervisors looked away and the rest of the children started to peel the flesh off of the smallest one, who did the same. Millions died in the early 30s in Ukraine. We don't remember them. We aligned ourselves with the man who caused all of that suffering and death to defeat the Germans. During the siege of Leningrad, food was cut off, and hundreds of thousands died as a result. History is largely what we make of it. Our arrival to the New World led to the death of millions of Native Americans, and yet nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about the Armenian genocide. Nobody talks about the Rwandan genocide. People use history, or certain perceptions of it to benefit themselves. The great tragedy that was the mass murder of the Jews during the Holocaust is exploited by politicians and nations to justify their actions. That's why we hear about it so much. Half of my family died in extermination camps, and those who survived couldn't stand how their toil and loss was and still is used for political purposes. I'd say that is merely a feature of your textbook. It isn't hard to find information about other groups targeted by the Nazi regime. However, it is also true that a major feature of the groups targeted by the Nazis is that they were typically not targeted in the same way as the Jews. The Jews were a major target, that is, and those others were sort of secondary. The Nazis had a very hierarchical view of human genetic qualities, and they put Aryans at the very top, and every other group ranked in order, so to speak, beneath them. The Jews were placed at the very bottom and were considered especially bad because they looked like normal people. Some of the other groups the Nazis targeted for removal or extermination at least were visually different, mentally deficient, those with severe birth defects, non-whites generally, Slavs, Romani, Gypsies, political opponents, and then the Jews. Hitler basically blamed all of Germany's problems on the Jews. If the Jews were obliterated, then all Germany's problems would go away miraculously. That's not at all what was said about those other groups. They were just not worth preserving, because they were parasites on society. The Jews were not only parasites on society, they were also actively undermining it, according to Nazi doctrines. If those other groups were insects living around the foundations of the German house of the state, then the Jews were special insects. They were termites. You may tolerate a few bugs, but you are going to actively go after the termites. But yes, the Nazis also killed large numbers of Romani peoples, also disabled, mentally ill and mentally subnormal people, political foes, homosexuals, and just about anybody else they found annoying or distasteful. They weren't too fond of Slavic people generally, either. But they did reserve a special animus and special attention to obliterating the Jews. One of the features of that behavior I find most weird and disturbing is that, in the ghettos and in the camps, they would provide medical treatment to revive Jews who had maybe tried to kill themselves or who were ill, just so they could murder them on purpose a little later. They couldn't or wouldn't even just let people die, they needed to actually do it on purpose.